Must be good to be home again, sir.
The Blacklist is an American crime thriller television series that premiered on NBC on September 23, 2013. The show follows Raymond Red, a former U.S. Navy officer turned high-profile criminal who voluntarily surrenders to the FBI after eluding capture for decades. He tells the FBI that he has a list of the most dangerous criminals in the world, which he has compiled over the years, and he's willing to inform on their operations in exchange for immunity from prosecution. However, he insists on working exclusively with a rookie FBI profiler, Elizabeth Keene, Megan Boone. After 8 seasons, The Blacklist is still going strong, but it had some tough emotional moments. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Elizabeth's funeral. Elizabeth's funeral in season 3 is a sad moment. While she faked her death, the task force and the audience don't know it's a lie. The most heartbreaking moment of the funeral is a tearful Aram struggling to get through his heartfelt eulogy to Elizabeth. Even though Elizabeth isn't really dead, it's still difficult to watch Aram and the rest of the task force grieving and struggling to come to terms with the loss of their beloved friend and partner. Their profound grief is real, and for better or for worse, that makes her supposed death all the more compelling to everyone else. Watching Samar talk to Aram on the plane. This one hurt to the core. With the news that Mozhan Marno was leaving the show, the moment was bound to happen. From the start of The Blacklist, Aram was fawned over Samar. From failed relationships to being co-workers, their chemistry was always there. Once they decided to take it to another level, some viewers were just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Well, it didn't come until Samar revealed the depths of her sickness, and Aram did his best to protect her that their fate was sealed. In order to save his life, Samar did what she thought was best and made her way out of the country with the help of Reddington. In doing so, she was forced to leave Aram behind, which resulted in one of the toughest moments on the show. Reddington and Dembe parting ways. When Dembe keeps it a secret that Elizabeth is the one responsible for landing Reddington in prison, which nearly led to Reddington receiving capital punishment, the secret drives a wedge in Reddington and Dembe's close relationship. While Reddington forgives Dembe for keeping the secret from him, Dembe believes it is best for him to chart his own path and for them to part ways. Their tight-knit relationship was always a staple of the show and something that seemed unbreakable. Seeing them part ways and for their bond to be threatened like that felt wrong and deeply upsetting, and is only tempered by the fact that Dembe returns later on and their relationship is restored. Tom's death. No matter how you felt about Tom Keene, his death had to leave a sour taste in your mouth. Although he went out like a warrior by protecting Liz, it sucked that the writers had the identity of Red tied to it. In a heart-wrenching scene, Red put Tom and Liz into a car and raced them to the hospital. As they drove the streets, the last conversation between the married couple did nothing but pull at your heartstrings. Liz and Tom both professed their love for one another. Tom told Liz that she has to make it and he can't live without her. In the end, Tom was dead and Liz was in a coma. Matthias Solomon kidnaps Dembe's granddaughter. In a captivating episode at the start of The Blacklist Season 3, Matthias Solomon kidnaps a child, although the reasons behind his actions are unclear. His horrific choice becomes even more monstrous when Dembe meets with his distraught daughter and the audience learns that the kidnapped child is Dembe's granddaughter. Little information had been revealed about Dembe's personal life at that point. It was a shock to learn that he had a daughter and a grandchild, and it was even worse knowing that these innocent lives of his loved ones were being harmed as a way for the cabal to target Reddington and those closest to him. Mr. Kaplan loses the love of her life. Before she became Reddington's cleaner and close advisor, Mr. Kaplan was known as Kate. The fantastic Season 4 episode, Requiem, reveals her origin story, the most devastating part of which is when she and the love of her life, Annie Kaplan, are shot. When Kate regains consciousness, she learns that Annie died from the gunshot wounds. Especially after seeing the love Kate and Annie had for each other, it is brutal to see her experiencing this loss and for the audience to understand the deeper and tragic meaning behind Mr. Kaplan's name. Reddington nearly kills Mr. Kaplan. After betraying his trust and making him believe Elizabeth was dead, Reddington takes Mr. Kaplan to a secluded spot in the country and shoots her in the head. His intent is to kill her, as he feels that he can never trust her again. It's only by a miracle that she actually survives. Mr. Kaplan dedicated her life to helping Reddington and protecting his secrets. She only betrayed Reddington to protect Elizabeth, which was always Reddington's top priority. Seeing Reddington trying to kill her is a ruthless low point for his character that Mr. Kaplan does not deserve, and a mistake that Reddington comes to deeply regret. Mr. Kaplan's death. Mr. Kaplan dies by suicide in the season 4 finale, as she believes her death is the only thing that can expose the truth about Reddington. After dedicating so much of her life to helping Reddington, protecting Elizabeth, and loving them fiercely, it is tragic that she feels her death is the only way forward, and the only way to do them justice by unleashing the truth about Reddington. Even though she began as a supporting character, Mr. Kaplan grew to become one of the show's most nuanced and likable characters. After everything she suffered through and sacrificed, it is brutal to see her story end this way. Elizabeth's death. So much of the Blacklist is about Elizabeth fighting to learn about the truth of her past, as Reddington and many others did everything they could to protect her at all costs. When Elizabeth is shot in the back and killed for real in the season 8 finale, it feels like the many sacrifices and suffering in the show were all in vain. Reddington ultimately fails to protect her, and Tom, Mr. Kaplan, Sam, Dom, and too many others died for nothing, as her sacrifices also failed to save Liz in the end. Just like Elizabeth, her daughter Agnes will now have to grow up without a mother, thus continuing the cycle of violence. Beyond the impact on other characters and how it affects their stories, Elizabeth dies without confirmation of the truth about Reddington and her mother, although her final moments suggest that Reddington and her mother have been the same person all along. Megan Boone is out of the rest of the show. The Blacklist dropped some big reveals in the season 8 finale, as series star Megan Boone exited the series, bringing the story of Elizabeth Liz Keene to an end. The Blacklist season 8 threw some drastic twists in Liz's story. Her mother Katrina was seemingly killed by Red Reddington, James Spader, after she and Liz uncovered secrets of Red's past. In retaliation, Red put Liz on the blacklist to be hunted by her own FBI colleagues, forcing Liz to go on the run. However, nothing turned out to be what it seemed, as Liz's journey brought her back around to face Reddington and learn the secrets of her past. The two-part finale to the Blacklist season 8, Nichela and Koniec, or beginning and the end in Russian, saw Boone's Liz Keene come to the end of her story, literally. Liz and Red managed to defeat and kill crime lord Neville Townsend in Nichela, but could not avoid the threat that the crime lord had set in motion. After the fight with Townsend, Koniec sees Spader, who was revealed to be a mystery man impersonating the real Red Reddington, Liz's father, propose to leave Liz with the final protection of inheriting his criminal empire before he dies. The plan is to arrange for Liz to assassinate Red outside his restaurant, where cameras will capture the act in all its infamy and cement Liz as a major figure in the crime world, as the heir to Reddington's criminal network. Liz wants the final set of answers about who Reddington really is before he dies, but Red hides all that in a letter Liz will receive when he's dead. Unfortunately, but not unexpectedly, the plan goes sideways. Liz hesitates when she ultimately has Red in her sights, but Townsend's surviving henchman, Van Dyke, Lucas Hassel, doesn't hesitate at all when he shoots Liz. As Townsend wanted, Red is forced to watch Liz die while cradling her tightly. The Blacklist has answered all the major questions about Liz's character that longtime fans needed to know, while still leaving room for season 9 to thrill fans by retaining big secrets about Red and Katrina that still need to be revealed. There's still the power vacuum left by Neville Townsend's death and the shifts in the criminal world that will keep Red scrambling to maintain his own empire, while the FBI task force will have plenty of Blacklist targets popping up on their radar. With that, we are done for today. What do you think about Liz's departure from the Blacklist? Feel free to leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check back for our next video. Until then, stay safe.